It is an unfortunate thing that the politicians have picked the worst of us to run in certain offices and certain parastatals in the government. And they have left the best of us to remain as observers. That's what it is. Because I don't understand where an environment where Dele Farotimi is, someone like Femi Fani Kayode is a spokesman for the ruling party. Why? What for? I don't understand why an environment where MC Oluomo is becoming a major voice in Yoruba land, in Lagos, in Western Nigeria. Why there is someone like T-Mac who has seen it all, trained, educated, groomed, exposed, and then meticulous is behind. This thing must change, even if not for any reason, for the fact that we have to tell our children that it is necessary to go to school, to be exposed, to be educated, and to be smart. Not allowing agberos, uneducated Nigerians, the least of society, taking up governmental offices and speaking on behalf of us, whether it's tribe or it's party or it's anything. Look at Keyamo, that couldn't even win his polling unit, but is making claims and lying all over. This is an interview that all of you must watch. And as we begin to say, a lot of these things happening in Lagos is not comfortable. We are not happy with the Yorubanization of the elections and the several ethnic and tribalistic tendencies. There are a few Yoruba people that have stood for what is right. You see Macaroni, you see Faz, you see Dele Faz, and it's not because necessarily they are obedient or they support Peter Obi, whether or not, but for the fact that you say, let the election be free, fair, and credible. Listen to this man. Let's share this video. Let's use good to cancel evil. Let's use right to dim the wrong. Share it, hit the like button, make your opinion count. Celebrate people like this who saw and could not close their mouth, who saw and could not sit down to say, oh, we benefited. After all, the president-elect is Yoruba, the governor is Yoruba. And I was even wondering, how bad have we become? A Gbadebo Ross Vivo contesting for the office of governor of Lagos, a Yoruba man. They have to sell a narrative of being Igbo so that they can descend on gullible Yorubas not to vote for them. Listen to this video and watch this video. It exposes the rot in the system. How the election was rigged by someone who saw it all. How the election was rigged, how the manipulation took place. This is something beyond the elections, beyond going to court. It's something that all of us Nigerians should look at. And they begin to say, was this right? Are we really going somewhere for me? I'm tired of talking though. Watch this video, share this video, let it go as well as possible. Then make your opinion count in the comment section. I'll be waiting, reading your comments, and let's begin to strike the right chords gradually. We'll get it right. I believe so much that we'll get it right. Yeah, it's disheartening we put all the effort, but see, the last fight for film, I say they be the tough. We get it right. This is the last time. After this, they will submit. Share this video.
The presidential election in my area, I built my house in '82 in Okota Ago, and I am quite prominent there. I have a beautiful place. In my street, there's a polling booth, and I make sure everybody's comfortable. We have gates right and left, so my street was okay. Presidential election, we had in my street 186 votes for Labour, and I think 16 or 17 for APC. And it was all over Okota Ago the same. Labour 300-400% more. Now, I had a phone call last week Wednesday by a gentleman who said, T-Mac, please, I want you to make sure you have security in your area, because I just attended a meeting at the Mushin local government. There were APC top people there, there were Bales, Kings, and it was decided that we're going to disturb Okota Ago Palace Way to Festag, because we are not pleased to see that 80-90% of that area voted Labour. So I asked him and say, what do you suggest? He said, please inform the police, inform Labour, you must tighten up the security. Also, he said, I have just seen the result sheets of the election. I said, how is that possible? How are we going to accept that? I said, well, they said if we don't like it, we can go to court. And he told me something like that area will have 48,000 APC voter, maybe 24,000 for Labour. And that's what I saw on your television yesterday. But in actual fact, we were prepared. So we collected the pink sheet of every polling station in the area to see that everywhere Labour was 300-400% more than APC. So now to declare those numbers, to me, is very fraudulent. But let me go back to the violence. In my street, they voted nicely. I quickly went back inside my house, and I was called out Tima, come out in the next street, Vaidyakande. They are beating people up, they're destroying the booths. So I love dogs. I took 2 boys, and with 8 dogs, big ones, I rushed down next street, and people all scattered when they saw me. About 30, 40 Agberos ran away. They threw sticks, they threw bottles at me and my boys. One of my boys got injured face and back, and we chased them to Taiwo Street up into the swamp area. I was so angry. And later on I thought, that was risky what I did. But when you're angry, you don't give a damn. And people were there dispersing. Now what I experienced in the last election was people were scared to come out because they heard there's troubles everywhere. Afterwards, I took my time, I went to different areas. I saw the carnage. Windows of houses smashed, boots on the floor in the gutter. I will supply you with some of the videos. People cut and injured. Why do we need a war where this should be a peaceful election? You are bringing some of the videos to your television station, but the amount of injured people which went to the hospital next day, we are still collecting all that information.
So you're saying the numbers that have emerged from Saturday is underreported, as you have seen even more than the figures that you've seen
of course.
On the news.
And when the pink sheets are being taken to court and we can prove actually the right numbers, you will see that I'm right.
Okay, so let's talk about this warning you got as to the potential violence that would erupt in your area. Did your group report to security agencies? If you did, what was the response like? And on the day of elections, because what the security agencies had assured Nigerians is that they'd identified hot spots and they were going to deploy their officials to those areas. Did you feel supported or protected by security agencies?
I immediately informed the Labour Party campaign organization because I'm on the advisory board. And PA to Gbadebo immediately took it up. She informed the state security, the army and the police that Okota Ago Palace Way needs protection. There's no protection. It was like they collided in staying off. They wanted the intimidation to happen. They wanted people to stay in. Because if everybody would have come out to vote, the result would have been tremendous in the favor of Labour. So I am very disappointed. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but I'm disappointed that the security was not there. At the Okota runabout, there was one tank by the army parked. That's the only security we had for Mushin to Festag.
They respond at all, even though they had just one. So you just had the
later on, a police patrol came to the next street, picked up the INEC officer and the boxes and disappeared. They didn't even vote there. And we still see the result as completed and voted. And in many places they did not vote. So where do the results come from? They were all prepared in advance.
I mean, a lot of shocking revelations going on here, but I want to quickly just take you through the incident in Okota.
Yeah.
Was it when voting started that the skirmish started, or was after people voted in the second street?
It was when people came out to vote that somebody, the APC representative, I don't want to know his name, I saw him on one street giving orders, and I put one of my boys near him to listen, how he ordered Agberos, go on there, you have to fight them there, please move over there. It was orchestrated. They wanted people to go back home. Don't come out and vote, we don't want you to vote. And those who came out had to run for their life.
So
it was orchestrated.
There was a person orchestrating all of this, talking to other people and all of that. So what did that now have as an effect on those areas that you said the party you support had won before now?
The effect was that people did not come out as during the presidential election. And those who came out to vote, either they could not even find a place to vote, because the boxes were destroyed, or they were driven back home. So the outcome was very poor in the whole area.
Well, Mr. Israeli, one big issue in Lagos State was ethnic profiling.
That's right.
Non-indigenous were forewarned to stay at home. So it took a lot of courage for you to go out with your dogs. And I thought the police had warned that nobody should come out with dogs on election day.
That is a good one. I had some very negative messages. Timak, you should be prosecuted because you came out. I said I did not come out to secure my polling booth with my dog. I came out when I was called there's serious problem to drive them away. My dogs were on leashes. They did not attack anybody. It was to drive 30, 40 negative criminals, Agbero, out of the area. That's what I did.
Okay, but I wanted you to comment on the ethnic baiting, ethnic profiling, and, non-indigenous being specifically targeted.
Yeah. I am half Shakiri. I'm a proud Shakiri, half Swiss. And I'm quite well known in my area, so people know I'm a Nigerian. Many Igbos have bought properties in Okota, Ago, and that's why also the area has been neglected for many years. As an example, we built the Bayo Oyewole Street for 100 million ourselves. And one day I went to Laos, I even saw in the budget that there was maintenance for that street we never got. So I live peacefully together with Yorubas, with Igbos, with everybody, because my stepfather was Yoruba, Semobalaji Benkentoni. The husband of my sister, Okobi, is Yoruba. Half of my family are Yorubas. We live in peace together. Even in every band I had Yorubas, Igbos, peacefully. We never had an argument. For me, this ethnic problem is new. I actually had never experienced it before, and I hope this will end and we get back to the peaceful living together. Because Nigeria is a great nation, and I'm not pleased what is happening, and the world is watching it. I have a little bit international publicity. I got phone calls and messages from around the world, and I would say to everybody, let's sort it out peacefully in the court. I advise all the young people, everybody watching me, stay peacefully at home. There's no need for protest. There's no need for going into the street, because we can solve it in the courts. We cannot have more killings, more destructions because of an election. What has happened is enough. That's my advice.
All right. It's interesting you say that this is the first time you're experiencing ethnic profiling, because some people have said that it is the usual modus operandi during election season. Use ethnic or ethnicity as a bait or a weapon to divide people, and then at elections, 4 years later, we're back to it. However, they said, or what observers have also mentioned, is that in this particular election cycle, it's possibly the worst experience that people have had. It was used prior to elections, amplified, it was exacerbated during the gubernatorial elections from presidential, and we are still seeing the aftermath of it, in terms of comments made by people, even prominent figures, or like Mr. Bayo Ononuga of the Tinubu Campaign Council, speaking about, making statements that could be seen as divisive. But in terms of the impact of the healing you talk about, what Nigerians are also saying is, that some Nigerians are saying is that, how do we begin to heal without justice? And that this healing might never even happen because they've seen the true state of things. But you're pushing for reconciliation, healing, peaceful, no protest. And how do you marry that? I don't know if you've heard people talk about these conversations being had, because healing, they say, would happen when there's a sense of justice, or there's even an ownership of wrong. But there's yet no ownership of wrong in some quarters. People are defending their statements. How do we then begin to heal or repair what has been broken?
Thank you very much. You are very wise, because you said some very interesting points you had. You see, if we now let the courts and experts take it up, like fingerprint experts will come in, we can prove that some people printed thousands and thousands. And you remember a couple of years back, some states were won back with that evidence. If we can now, as we do in labor, go into server and prove the manipulation legally and get it notarized by courts and present it to the tribunal, then we do a real step forward. There's no need at this moment now to fight and make it worse. I agree, many people are angry. I'm angry too, because in 2019, it was not as bad. This has been the worst election I've seen in my life. And the presidential election was not as bad as this election. It was like APC did not want to lose Lagos for any cost. They let, during the presidential election, Labour have a small margin of more votes for Lagos. We know we had a landslide, and we will prove it. But at this stage now, we have to consider, is Nigeria going to fall apart because of this? Are we intelligent enough to realize that we are one nation with tremendous tribes? Do you know, I used to say when I travel around the world, I'm a flautist. I play for kings, beggars, emperors, and I used to always say when they say, Timak, you're Nigerian? I said, yes, I am a proud Nigerian. We have the most diverse cultures in the world. There's no other country which has our culture, our diversity, our different kinds of food, dressing, music. People come here and love Nigeria. The Jacksons fly in here because they are Yorubas and they love it. I brought in many, many musicians, many stars. They come to Nigeria because Nigeria has something to offer. But we must have the right leadership. We cannot have people ruling us which we don't like, people we did not voted for. 10% of votes may be brought in Alhaji Tinubu. Is it okay for him to rule a country where only about 10% voted for him? It will be difficult. But again, we should not become a Rwanda. We have to learn. We have to learn of what has happened before. And I'm speaking to everybody, let's maintain peace. Our leader, Peter Obi, is a great human being. I've known him for many years. I'm close to Atiku, who I know since the 70s. You know, Alhaji Tinubu is actually my in-law. So I respect them. Let the followers listen to the advice of stay peaceful. It was a very, very disturbing governor election, especially in Lagos. But should we now continue on that level? Should we not prove we are not Akberos, we are not hooligans? No, we have learned something. Let's plaster our wounds, let's think and do the legal way. That's my advice.
So you made mention of Alhaji Tinubu, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu being president, and these are videos of you and your dogs, coming to restore our calm. Quite very brave of you, because a young man yourself, you're in your late 70s, mid-70s, yes. 75 thereabouts. So what advice would you have, for the president-elect at this point in time, and probably the governor of Lagos State, where all of this chaos happened, and also political leaders in general, that where all this chaos, because it didn't happen only in Lagos, it happened everywhere in the country. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give them as we speak now? Because a lot of people are still hurt. And like I said rightly, people are not even owning to the fact that they did injustice to other people. And you see, you talked about court. A lot of people feel like you are mocking them when you say go to court. Because why? We have seen beyond reasonable doubts many times that the court doesn't give justice based on, whatever it is. So they say, when they go to court, they're just mocking you because they know you will not get anything in the court. Justice will not be done. So people are like, why should we even trust the process, the legal process in the first place?
I had a couple of court cases in my life, and 2, 3, I was disappointed by the church in charge not actually even studying the case. It was just kind of wishy-washy. But I had cases where I had to say to myself, we have justice in Nigeria by good judges, precise, etc. Now, the tribunal case will be watched by the whole world. And that may be our plus point, because you cannot, when the evidence is overwhelming, when forensic evidence is there, when everything is presented, you cannot rule against what has been presented. You understand what I mean? You can. If you do so, means we will declare a banana republic. Investors will not come in, and we will go into worse than in which we are at the moment. So the judges, the tribunal, the leaders of the parties have to realize that the future of Nigeria is somehow at stake. Because if you rule something against the evidence, means Nigeria is gone. I'm not saying at this moment that I know who won. Even I think I know. I am saying let's watch what the judges and the court come up with. Let's watch very carefully. Let's look at the evidence which PDP and Labour Party is presenting to the court. There are many intelligent people in this country you cannot fool. Some people are brainwashed by being too much APC, too much PDP, too much whatever. But let them also reflect Am I cheering a presidential president-to-be just because I'm a party member? Am I cheering something which is not correct? Let people think.